All right. Happy Sunday. Wanted to jump on and do some musings. So it's a nice laid back day. Starting to get cold here in northern Colorado. Although I am thankful it's not like the very northern states like Wisconsin and stuff. I mean, I feel like that cold. I guess I don't know about Wisconsin so much. I used to go there as a kid, but more recently, since college, I used to travel. I traveled a couple of times up to Fargo, and that was cold. Like, and it was like driving on an ice rink. And I consider myself a pretty good driver in the snow, having worked at a ski resort for 3 seasons and driving up there, well, for a full-time job all 3 seasons. So, 5 days a week. Although I guess as I think about it, it had to have been like Saturday and Sunday as two of those days because those were our busy days, in the ski resort. But, anyways, no, it's getting cold. Life's interesting, and still working on side projects. This is the fourth day of my 4 day weekend. I took that off because my kiddos had school off last week, and that was fun. And my co-parent and I divvied up some of that time so she could still see them, and yeah, it was all around good fun. So lots of video games, lots of reading too. We're getting into that, and like I don't know. And I keep debating on making like a second channel or even like another playlist. I don't know. Like I've got like over 1,000 videos on this thing. I think. I want to say over 1,000 videos. I mean, I made like easily 30 to 50 for Borderlands, each of the Borderlands games. I made, I don't know. Actually, no, that can't be right. It can't be 100 videos easy because I've done like, let's see. And I keep thinking I want to do like a Sunday like streaming if I get back into Twitch. Let's see my videos. It doesn't say. Let me see. Go to my channel. 1.1 1.1 thousand video. And I am going to get back into some educational videos at some point, but I do want to just kind of start spreading out and doing different things like reading, like how to make entertainment or not even entertainment, more so like learning materials for like kiddos and young people and even grown people like trying to learn English. I mean, the best way is kids books. Sorry, I'm trying to like figure out where to dump all this stuff. I started harvesting some jungle trees, so now we have a healthy three of them right there. Whoops. Just put a bunch of random flotsam in here. So I usually have a stack of those, some sticks maybe. Actually, I don't even need the sticks. I was working on the garden. So, oh, and being a conservationalist, I upgraded my shears. I enchanted them with unbreaking and mending. So I will never need to, I mean, as long as I pay attention to it and then go do some trading when I need to, I'll never need another pair of clippers again. In fact, we'll go ahead and make another, expand on the farm. I have a couple of goals for the next few sessions, and which I may or may not do in amusing, but I want to work on a house with an aquarium under the floor. And so my daughter and I, we do some creative worlds, and she likes to do, she'll make like a cool aquarium like in the house, and then you're walking over and you see all these fish, and it's like, and it's a pretty big thing. I mean, they do like boat tours with glass bottom boats, in tropical areas, and it's a big touristy thing to do, and yeah, so, um, anyways, so I want to do it here, and maybe build some multi-unit apartments and whatnot. But for now, I'm making a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns to add some more light further down. And I think not only does that help the plants grow, so the stalks have to go through like 3 or 4 stages of growing. They start off as just like the really minuscule. Actually, we can probably even see. We're gonna need some torches. So let's go ahead and drop this off. Get the torch. No, let's just keep going with this. But anyways, there's always so much to do. That's why I love this game. But no, as far as educational though, like thinking trying to do a Kubernetes cluster of Docker of containers. Sorry, Docker is the container manager, another platform that manages containers, and containers are lightweight VMs. Now, Kubernetes is like the one to do though if I'm going to do anything because they have such a huge following, support network, like forums. They do meetings, like um, what are those? Not festivals, but anyways, they do meetups. They do like whole things. And now let's just get some stuff in general. But um, anyways, the idea would be to have several server or several containers, and each container be a different county, and that county would be it would contain a link to an external database. So even if the server went down, if it was destroyed for whatever reason, or DOSed, denial of service, like bogged down, whatever, then another one could just be spun up. And or no, not that. Well, that too, but the idea of the database being external and you're just linking to it. Now the database itself has to be extremely secure, and and that is one area that I know I struggle in when making these things. So like I would never want to build like the actual live production server that ends up being used, but like even just doing what I'm doing and telling my idea to a lot of people, it's not just my idea. Like I'm sure other people have thought of it. It's like, we use email and our phones and authenticator apps like to protect our banks, our money, like, everything else, like our email accounts, multi-factor, like it's now a standard on just about everything and everyone, and it is, there's some of a bit of a ripple effect. Like, it's starting out and then as it ripples outward, it's going to be slower to catch on. I mean, but thankfully we're addressing it. But then at the same time, addressing all the issues that would make somebody try to hack you in the first place. Like, and there's a couple ways to go about that. I know, I'm going to ramble about that for a bit, but like the carrot and the stick, the deterrent and then the deterrent, they're both deterrents. But one's forceful and, aggressive. The other one's passive and inviting. So you're trying to either change the behavior forcefully or pleasantly, basically. So that's what I like to focus on is the preventative blue teaming, like social projects like, prison to community reintegration efforts, or like, trying to alleviate the sources of crime in general, because it all ripples, I mean, not ripples, but it all blends over or bleeds over into cybersecurity, because that is one way that somebody might try to take a shortcut to try to get back to a comfortable place of living, or to try to get to a place of living, because there's also that too. Wait, did I just see? Oh, maybe that was from, I don't know, I saw a seed. And like, it usually means that I broke a stem, but I was like, I've been doing good staying in the lines, but, and then if you run too fast without too much weaving, you tend to start leaving them. And the art of harvesting mass pumpkins for trading. And this is it. Everything I do in Minecraft, this is what we as society need to do. Like have your own personal farm nearby, or like a communal farm. I mean, it wouldn't just be me, all those other villagers. I put a gate here because they like to come in here and just break stuff and plant whatever they want. And yeah, actually real quick, I think all the stems might be mature, but let's see. No. So here's the multiple stages. So there's the tiniest one, then there's that. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5. You can see right there. It's like a Punnett square. All the different possibilities. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth one. The fifth is the final, and then that has 2 states: occupied with a melon or a pumpkin, or unoccupied, where the adjacent space, and it has to be, or it can be any adjacent space. So there, or there, except of these 4 possibilities, only one is valid for that, because it has to be a plain dirt block. I don't know about Podsoil. I don't think Podsoil. Grass is okay. So it's grass or dirt. So in those states, it's fine. But if you were to do, say, this, it's not fine. At least I think. I'd have to test that. And that's the thing with like technology and stuff. Things are always changing. So what might be true a while ago might be completely wrong now. Like maybe they added an update to where melons can now rest on Podsoil when previously they couldn't. Okay. And then, so you got to be so comfortable with change and dynamic if you want to work in tech, or really just survive in the world anymore. Because, heart attacks and anxiety and like all those kinds of things are, well, I mean, anxiety kind of ties into it all, but like, you know, ties into poor diet, but also stress and like, just the harsh conditions that we live in, and we allow. And I think it's really accidental. Like, I mean, I think there was just a rush of technology, and then all of a sudden, like, people realized they could be doing work so much more efficiently and making so much more money. But then they also didn't realize all the blind spots of, like, okay, well, yeah, that does, but it also brings X, Y, and Z, which are kind of bad. And especially when you look at the overall big picture, you're like, whoa, maybe the shortcut isn't worth all of the friction involved in the process. So. I mean, because slavery seemed like a great idea at one point to some person. Like, they didn't realize that, oh, maybe this is evil and a bunch of poor communication all down the line. Like, oof. And we're still doing it. We're still doing it. We got prison slavery. So, there's that. But, anyways, hippie farms. That's it. Oh, and here's a fun thing. So I'm out with my kid. This is ridiculous. So I'm out with my kiddos in the car, and there's this group of people at an intersection. They're handing out flyers, asking for donations. It looked kind of sketchy. Like, it almost looked like they were trying to get money for drugs or something. But, like, they were talking about how, like, they're rehabilitated and they're trying to have intake for people, and they have living resources. It's like the word of God. I took one of the flyers and I really was going to give them like a buck or two. I was like, because whatever, even if they're hustling to go do whatever, like, I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, it provided me a possibility to interact with them and say, hey, have you heard Johns Hopkins proved that magic mushrooms can help with addiction? And he just stops and he looks at me. He's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, or no. And that's not how I started off. I was like, hey, yo, magic mushrooms. He's like, wait, what? And I think he was like, oh, this prick trying to give me drugs when I'm just telling him that I'm clean for, X, Y, and Z. And first off, like, the drugs for those, and again, this is for anybody in fifth grade and older, but I mean, I said it, well, either way. Because Dare visited us and taught us all about drugs. Oh, wait, I don't have, oh, that's right. Okay, well, we'll let those, I don't need those melons, but basically, the police came to my school to teach us about drugs and what to look out for, what to be careful of, and, like, and the severity of it too. Like, here you'll get fines, you'll get put in jail, blah blah blah. And now we've relaxed our laws on weed and shrooms. Like, in Colorado, both are legal. You can't sell shrooms, and that's good because really they are more of like a medicine. It's more of like a tribal thing. Like, Native American culture used to use this substance called peyote, which is like they call them peyote buttons, which I never really understood that, but I guess they're just like pieces of a cacti, of this cactus, and it has like another name, and then it's this like chemical in there that it's psychedelic. It causes hallucinations or feeling in tune with nature, and it is a naturally occurring substance that does this. So it's just kind of like, of course, not to say all naturally occurring substances are just fine. Like, there's poisons, there's venoms, there's like things that will literally kill you that, yeah, you got to be careful of, and then, and knowing the difference. And there's one movie too where The Rock eats this like hallucinogen fruit in like the Amazon jungle, and I can't remember what movie it is, but anyways, it's just funny because it's like, oh wow, they're just saying it out loud now. That's great, because we had so much stigma against substances, specifically weed. Like, that was the biggest like evil. Like, I mean, even though it wasn't dangerous to people, it was super dangerous to economies and like businesses, and like, there were a lot of factors where it could flat out replace certain things. And not all things. Like, hemp plastic isn't good. Like, actually, I should save those because I could build a house out of them. Take these and make those into sticks. Get a bunch of torches for the jack-o'-lanterns. Sorry. Anyways. So yeah, and in the alcohol industry, there is so much involved with that. Like, I mean, it's pretty big to go up against that. You're threatening a lot of livelihoods. And I actually developed software for a company that did mostly the liquor industry warehouses, and I felt dirty. Like, I hated. I mean, I loved the job because it was a real job. Actually using my college degree and not working in a restaurant. Like, I worked in Subway for way long. Like, wow, we could just keep going. And then the jack-o'-lanterns. Okay. But anyway, so I told that dude, and his eyes got wide, and like, And it needs to be said because Johns Hopkins, and that's why I mentioned that too. So I started off with like mushrooms, and his eyes popped. He's like, "What?" And I've had that happen before, where like, people, because I've spent a lot of time with people that are going through all stages of recovery, and thankfully, I was never addicted to like opiates and meth and all those like really scary ones. Those are always the two taboos for me. Like, oh, why? Why is it like that? Huh. I mean, I'm not. Oh, wait. Hmm. I need this thing, and I need it to be here. So, but anyways, Johns Hopkins has indeed done studies that magic mushrooms, the psilocybin in them, can help with addiction to alcohol, tobacco, hard drugs. Like, I mean, and it's not something that you do like every day. Like, you really can't. I mean, it's something that's like more of like a spiritual journey for like 6 to 8 hours, and then you go to sleep, and then it's done. You're fine. Like, everything's back to normal. So it's like, I'm definitely not saying like, I don't know, and kids with everything. Like, I feel like until you're, yeah, teenager for a lot of things, but like kids that are smoking weed in like fifth grade, that's too much. That's too young. That's ridiculous. And like, and that's just, that really worried me. But like, I mean, when you're in college and like alcohol starts flowing, and like that's one of the things that our society is like, oh yeah, alcohol's just fine. Well, I mean, within reason, drink responsibly, drink moderately. That's what's all on all the alcohol ads, because again, it's such a huge industry for people that work for the liquor industry. But I mean, at the same time, almost every bad thing has alcohol somehow involved. I mean, other drugs might be in there, might, and that's the bias that a lot of people get confused by. It's like, well, wait, no, like these drugs are evil. Like, don't try to say that drugs are okay. And it's like, no, hold on, look at like the whole macro picture. Like, if you were to eliminate one or two things, like what would you? Of course, I say that, but like the opiates and the meth and all that, those are really scary, and like they can even coke and like crack, like they're very addictive and stuff. But I like to bring up Hunter Biden, like love him or hate him, he is a perfect example of, oh well, maybe it's not as bad as we thought, because he's on. And the only reason we have that is because we have his laptop where he had pictures and videos of him smoking crack. We usually society jokes about that. If you watch a lot of Futurama and South Park, it's like the smoking crack is like the worst thing you could ever do. It's like the dumbest thing. Like, you're such a fool. Like, like you're like looked down upon by society. Like, I mean, you could say, oh man, I might be lazy. I might have been drunk last night, but at least I'm not smoking crack like that guy. Or, if you watch a lot of stand-up comedians, that's like the basis or like the baseline of what's not acceptable in society. And it's good. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, that'll make you act all weird, like, and all that stuff. Like the hard drugs. That's why we do have like this distinctive line now. Psychedelics, not great, and definitely not great to drive on. But I mean, and if they're abused, that's why Colorado is standing firm on you can't sell it. And they're gonna, part of that is because they also got to put in the guidelines for business and taxation, and like, and how frequently should people even be consuming this stuff? Because anybody with any experience of it clearly knows that it's like, yeah, this isn't an everyday thing. You don't just wake up and just, I mean, some people try to say it is. Like, you hear these stories of people microdosing in Silicon Valley. Like, they'll eat just a little bit in the morning, and they'll just like steady maintain like a light trip throughout the day. And maybe so. That would be some very creative problem solving with code. But I feel like that would just also be really dangerous and sketchy, and uncomfortable, I guess, would be like a way to say it. But I mean, I don't know. But drinking alcohol is the one where it will depress you. It is able to be consumed daily, and then you'll start noticing people consuming it earlier and earlier, being like, well, why don't I just always? Because like, to get rid of a hangover, you drink a little the next day, and then people end up on benders and binges and all that because of the alcohol. Now, if you had just like a giant bag of weed, nah, you'd go maybe a day and you'd be like, okay, I need to go do something else. Like, or, I mean, or you could like a little bit every day, but I mean, it wouldn't be, that would probably last years, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas like if you had like several kegs of booze, you know, although it's all bad, it's all bad. I mean, if done incorrectly and if in the wrong thing. Anyways, whew. But now talking about a lot of the Jesus stuff, and that's like the other thing. So Kubernetes, the project that I want to do, want to keep a ledger of loans, low interest or zero interest loans. Have a program that checks dates and time ranges to see if a trigger needs to happen to where like first off so automated payments like that's one thing and then linking some APIs to those will just be like hanging stubs for now. It'll be like a database with like a control center that says okay, check the database for all outstanding accounts or all outstanding loans, and then it'll display a list of them, and then it'll check was there a recent payment, and then was the recent payment on time, and then if it wasn't on time, assess a late fee, send out an email saying, hey, you missed a payment, or even whatever the schema may be. And that's why it's just good to just build it and then maybe comment out the different variations of it and leave those in. Because then if you want to toggle it, you could just be like, oh, well, if we're taking late fees off, then someone just has to go into the code and uncomment one thing and comment out the other thing. Switch it out to be like, the late penalty, or maybe keep the existing structure and just have it, instead of it assess a late fee into the account, you would have it send off an email notification and be like, hey, your payment was due on this day. Please, make a payment as soon as possible. And then you have the dials and knobs to adjust, like, okay, when do we want to send the next follow-up reminder? Like, when is too excessive? When is not excessive enough? And and I'm sure there's tons of studies like people's response rate and how many times it takes to get a response. And at the same time, like COVID did throw everything out of whack. And I kind of find it funny, but kind of sad at the same time. Like I applied to a lot of the hospital jobs here in the state because they were hiring a bunch of people, like during the pandemic and before the pandemic. I mean, I was trying to get a job as like in multiple different types of positions, like software developer, IT technician, like, just a lot of different tech roles. And I didn't hear back from a single one. Like, I mean, and that was before I really remember or realized, hold on. Because tech is such a broad industry, like it really is that hard to get a job. Like you will get turned down hundreds of times, potentially. Or something else that'll happen. You'll get a garbage thing, and I say garbage is like an unpleasant or unfavorable job, but that's the reason that you'll get it is because they'll take anybody, and it's like they just more need warm bodies because for a number of reasons, and that nobody's really particularly evil or like trying to do you dirty by doing these things. It's just how it is. Like it's just a result of how our hiring and our business processes have become. Wow, I already have like this whole other like this happened quick, I feel like, and I did it from the start because as you saw, I had to replan a bunch of stuff. So it's better to just go ahead and do it before. I gotta figure out why that is. Like, why is this particular one sticking out further? And are they all supposed to go back too? And so then for that, I gotta go up to this one. Say, okay, so I got this. So it's two away from the stairs. Two away from the stairs. Yes, indeed. I need to extend all of this. And so that's gonna flood a lot of this stuff. Or no, actually, never mind. I could just like doot, make those. All right, let's do it. So, oh man, there's so many layers now. But basically, more people are realizing this. And Colorado is we're like a pioneer state. Like the families that came and settled here, um, I don't know, whatever, we'll take that. But people crazy enough to be in the cold mountains and like, but again, not any crazier than like Wisconsin and stuff. And it's kind of funny because I have family from Wisconsin, so that makes sense that yeah, some of my family were those types that like to. Anyway, it doesn't matter, and that's even like giving more credit than really is due. We all had to live somewhere, and like so, my family particularly picked Colorado, so no more special than anyone else is what I'm trying to say. And Fight Club was good for that. I remember Fight Club being like you're not the unique snowflake and blah blah blah. So, all right, this could be bad. So let's go ahead and put this here. Oh yeah, I would have had it drown out anyway. Okay. There we go. I mean, I don't have any crops here, so it doesn't matter. I can go ahead and visit. It's about that. And then that makes me nervous. Like, I feel like I'm going to lose the water block, but then as long as you're careful, you're good. Like, you can lose it by placing it. Oh, so anyways, Kubernetes. So Kubernetes can build a whole what they call cluster of containers, or basically like virtual machines, and each virtual machine can handle something, can have its own database, it can have its own files, records, like, it could be a website, whatever. And you can segment your project, your deployment as much as you want, like further down within that, or increase the granularity of the project, however you want to think about it. But I mean, basically, it's just got to be like a Google Sheets. You could just do a Google Sheets and have like everybody's put their name on it, and that'd be part of the thing. Like, public shame could be part of the penalty. Instead of a fine, instead of making you pay more money, it'd just be like, hey, everybody, look at this prick. They haven't paid. Haha, let's point and laugh at them. And then, ask them if, what's going on here or something. Or have like the Bill Lumberg, like 8 bosses check in on you. Like, hey, how's it going? Do you want anything? And just that would be enough motivation to be like, oh God, I'm not going to make a late payment again. And I mean, and just enough of a sting to where it's like, okay, you'll get action and they'll fix it. Like, and I'm bad about this too. Like, I have a physical calendar to remember like certain things. I have Google calendars like left and right. My work calendar, I can do that no problem. I can manage things with like interacting with hundreds of people from multiple different organizations. Like, I can do that just fine. But my own stuff, like, remember that I need to go get something. In fact, let me write that right now. 'Cause I need to go get a pumpkin. Because I'm going to carve some pumpkins with the kiddos. What is all this? Oh, my YouTube wants me to create a post with my fans. All of you, all 266 of you. It is pretty cool. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be careful not to do. What is this? Oh man, there's so much stuff going on. Okay. Just use the calendar. What day do I need to do it? This day. And I need to do it as. I've got like 5 Google accounts. It's awesome. And they are. And then start listing them out. And then anybody watching could be like, oh, I'm going to, target that. All right. So that. And then add title. Get pumpkin. And task. There you go. That's it. Now I've got a reminder set for there to get pumpkins. And I'll see it before I leave from work, and I'll be like, all right, now I'll go get pumpkins. And I'll probably remember it just like the act of doing that. That's why, like, when you're learning words in English and stuff, you write them down multiple times, and then you do tests, and you try to remember how to spell and stuff. And we had to do that for, well, every word that we speak. I mean, and then if not, we had a big old dictionary where you could look up how to spell a word. And now you can just pull out a phone and just be like, oh, that's how to spell it? Okay. Like, kids today will not know the struggle of a lot of that. And I love that. We're taking away a lot of the awkward. And same with enhancing communication, like how we talk to each other, how we treat each other, how we address issues, how we look at things. I mean, and I kind of am playing with fire with a lot of this stuff. For religion and politics are the two that are like the prickly subjects. And that's like the 2 taboos. I have that whole playlist on like analyzing them in depth and trying to just be like, unprickly the prickly situations. And a lot of it is like, I don't know, like this election, it's going nuts, and we're like, what, 1 month out? Oh, I got to turn in my vote. I did get my ballot. It's just there's a lot of stuff on there, so I got to actually, like, I'll do that today. I'll take some time. Basically, we're voting on increasing taxes for certain things, other things, I don't know. It's usually an increase in tax and a justification and an explanation. And as much as I hate increasing more taxes, like seeing what it's for, like I think we need to audit a few things too. Like, I mean, I'm not completely in disagreement with what MAGA and the Republicans are saying. Like, but at the same time, I still don't have an edit button for my Twitter or my X app. Like, he wants to talk about how he fired 80% of Twitter. It took a long time to fix all the holes, and he was constantly like testing in production which I mean, to a point is fine. Oh wait, there's the timer, but at the same time, like that was a lot of like, right in your face glitches and problems. So no, it wasn't a smooth transition, and I still can't figure out how to edit. And some of that's me, like I will admit. Like same with YouTube. Like when I was trying to share YouTube links with people, they would get whatever my previous link was because I didn't understand the concept of, oh wait, I wasn't going one step far enough to actually copy the current link. So my friends, the few friends that got like random links for me, like of different other videos, thankfully it was all just like music that I listen to, like, like gangster rap or heavy metal, like stuff. I don't know. I have a lot of random tastes, but like that's basically what I was sending people, and then they're like, "Oh, what?" I was like, "Oh no, no, this is what I meant," because I discuss politics with the friends, and that's why I feel a lot less angry towards MAGA and Republicans. I mean, I still don't approve of a lot of what they're doing, but like the average person has been fed so much propaganda, and by both sides too. We all do it. Like it's ridiculous, and I try to keep mine in check. But like the other things, and real quick, and then I know we got to go. But like the apartments, I don't know what's really going on. Are gang members forcefully taking over apartments? Maybe. I don't know. But like what I read from the articles so far was like those apartment complexes were in such disrepair, and the management companies were like violating codes on a lot of things. And I know that they've been raising rates, and like, people have been taking it out on renters, the whole, the inflation and everything. And I have a friend personally that I know that she was almost evicted because they wanted to make her unit an Airbnb. But then, she won that in court, but then she still had to move out when the lease was up. So, which is their right. I mean, they can do what they want with the unit, which sucks, but whatever. And thankfully, she's now back into a place. And so that's what I know about. Like, when I hear, like, I have a friend going through that nonsense. Now, when I read these articles and seeing how, like, poorly managed these places are and how they've been basically like a scapegoat to, squeeze people for more money than they have, whether intentionally or unintentionally, like maybe they didn't realize that raising the rents like all crazy is bad for people. Like, so anyways, so I have little sympathy for the actual management companies and anyone that has been buying up property and then raising the prices anyway. Like, that's why we get into these problems. And that's why somebody might try to do some crime. Like, and the article that this guy gave back to me was saying that there's no real connection with the gangs in these instances of violence. It's just normal people, like citizens or otherwise, like being violent and committing crimes because life just sucks and all that. And like, then people are like, oh, well, then they shouldn't have been like planted there and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. There's a whole argument with that. But anyways, ta-ta for now. I better go. This is gonna end up being a 35-minute rant. All right. See you in the next one.